Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States.
Recording in progress.
And to the republic which is stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. So we call this meeting to order, and I would like to start with a motion to accept the regular meeting minutes from November 14th. Thank you, Rebecca. Second. Cindy, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Any abstentions? Okay, motion carries. At this point, we'd like to open it up to public comments to those present or in the Zoom meeting. Hearing it. Shorty Hoffman, yes.
I'm not ready to do on the meetings and whatnot. Is anybody just willing to go over and see what they have on the books? Because they do have something on the books to do with the B&B, the being a small village like Speculator Trustee, what they've got.
Yeah, so let me refer. Shorty is asking the committee that is evaluating short-term rentals, have they looked at the regulations that are present in Northville? So, Trustee Smith?
We are looking at a number of different towns. I can't say for sure if Northville is one of them, but yeah, we're looking like between 5 and 10, kind of in the whole area.
Yeah.
Both in the county and nearby.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, as far as like checking the Queens area, something like that, it'd be like checking the big tours and that's what they're, wouldn't fit on the area.
Well, actually, it has been recommended that we look out in those areas, Shorty, because those laws have been on the books longer and they have been subject to legal challenges. So that's also to consider, but to also tailor it to our area. But they have similar concerns to what we have.
Right, and they encourage you not to just blanketly take somebody else's.
Correct.
You have to tailor it to your area.
No, we didn't mean that.
Right. No, I'm just saying that it's broad, like what we're doing is broad.
Yep.
Right now, and then we'll narrow it down specific to our area.
Right back in the
Broad. I mean,
They're looking at a number of regulations. Right.
Yeah. Bird's eye view.
Good.
Maybe within the next 5 years.
Okay. Any other public comments?
Back in the 70s, when the APA told all the villages and towns in the Adirondack Park that they had to have local laws on the books or they were going to come in and tell us what to do. A lot of the towns went and just grabbed some laws and hurried,
Yeah.
put them on the books and decided to try to stay. And then a couple years down
Yep.
the road, then they changed and so.
No. I think they're mindful. That group is mindful as a joint committee, and they are not producing the laws. They are making recommendations, and those recommendations will go through any legal process as we would for any other village law, and we would make sure that there would be adequate time for public comment and public workshop, possibly to address those concerns, because that is a big deal. Okay, so not hearing anything else, I will close public comment. We are awaiting DPW. So I will pass at this point, and if he doesn't come, then we'll go through his list. So we'll move on to the clerk treasurer's report.
A couple of really quick things. We have a meeting scheduled for the medical insurance renewal for the employees. That's where we'll have upstate agency, a rep from upstate agency and Affleck come and just discuss what our insurance provides for them. We're not changing it this year, so it shouldn't be any different than the year before, but they also are here to answer any questions that the guys might have as well. The Affleck representative, it's optional, so the employee pays the contribution fully for Affleck. She always comes up every year just to see if anybody's interested in adding or dropping if I remember right, retirement reporting for elected officials, because I had a question about that recently. Reporting areas during this transitioning to the new AFR, which is the annual financial report, which will replace the AUD this coming reporting year.
Good.
And then utilizing Open Book New York for our different types of processes here.
Interesting. Good.
Well, that's it, really.
Okay. Any comments or questions for Crystal? No? Okay. So I'd like a motion to approve abstract number 12.
So moved.
Okay, Jim, and then second by Mark. Any comments or questions? I will put in the comment that the bill for the rental equipment for paving was included in here to the tune of that $20,000, which was, kind of out of the ordinary. We did not receive the first bill, and then they sent us a bill saying, hey, where'd you pay? So that's been taken care of, and it should be covered under CHIPS. So that was a big thing. And then financial report. Oh, so all in favor of approving abstract number 12, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Motion to approve financial report number 5. Cindy, second. Jim or Rebecca? Rebecca, thank you. Any comments? Okay, or clarifications? No. All in favor say aye. Aye. All abstentions?
Mark.
Any noes? Hearing none, financial report number 5 is approved. Who just came in? Who's that? Yes, Roger? Okay. All right, I'll give Roger a minute to catch his breath. So old business is FEMA filing for COVID. We have one or two. Hey, Roger. No, that's okay. I'm going to finish up a little old business and we'll make you new business. So for FEMA, we just have a few more little things to put in there. They were asking us about our budgets for cleaning in the past and some comparisons to what we're doing now. I should point out that since COVID started, our cleaning bills, our budget for cleaning alone has gone up 88%, which is pretty significant. Okay. The short-term joint rental committee has not met since our last meeting, and Rebecca informs me that the next meeting will be at the end of January. I have asked if there's an end in sight to their time. Is there a target date to have recommendations put forward? Because obviously we don't want this to go on forever. So we'll hear back.
There is a target date or not?
No. Rebecca's going to ask for us. And then we should be hearing back from our lawyers regarding the consolidation for Planning and Zoning Board of Appeals. So that'll be good. And then I will add one more thing under old business, and that's general codes. And if you'll recall, we've hired a company to help us put all our codes online. So this week, Mr. Rick Rumsey and I will be looking at that so that we can give it a first pass. We've got about a month or two to look that over, go over with the planning board as well to make sure those things are in order. Okay, Roger, we'll go to the report of DPW.
First off, sorry I'm late. I was at the house and I know what to start. I said,
30 lashes with a wet noodle. Okay.
all right, last month, well, this month, unfortunately, we're not done yet. We've been training on ski trail. We've been working on the pavilion bathroom, that was just about done. We just have to put the vents in it.
Okay.
We're going to start on the fire hall bathroom this next month coming.
The floors, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
We got the skating rink all set up, ready to launch as soon as we get enough snow and pack it in cold weather. I ordered the new mats for the skating rink. I got 4 of them.
Thank you.
Garbage and recyclables.
But how big is that?
They're 3 by 5.
Thanks.
Working on Lake Road. We've been working on some of the low spots and raking it. Fix hot holes every time we get one, then I have to wait. We moved some of the leaves in the cemetery, we don't have time in the snow. We picked up all the benches, flower pots, garbage cans, the dock, the stairs, everything, right? Can't think of anything else, but we got everything all picked up. And we paid all our road cuts. And this month we'll be working on ski trail, hopefully dragging it. We're always looking for grandkids. We already dressed our plows, I should have had that up on. They're all dressed, ready to go. Slug skating rink and garbage recyclables, working towards that, our firehouse and the bathrooms. Working on a little bit of the shoulder work with the pavement, but most of the new pavement doesn't need shoulder work because it was just an inch and a half. Plow needed sand. We sanded the pavement surface, our sanders already, that's what went up on the end. And we work on dirt section on the road until we can. Both sidewalks as needed, and we could free up the corners.
Yes.
I did this quick this day.
So I did modify for the rest of the group, Roger, just so you know I covered you. So the Christmas tree was lovely. It's really
Yes,
a very nice.
Went off 3 times, so what was
I don't know, I blame Mr. Hoffman for that. He's responsible
well,
for that.
I wasn't around, but when I saw it on Facebook and it came up,
Oh, to try, yeah, that's surety building anticipation.
We do that on purpose.
Yeah. Okay. So, Roger, I do have 2 questions regarding the last 30 days and the current 30 days. We do have the new sander in place,
Yes.
correct? Okay, so that's on there. Yep, and then according to our insurance guy, we should be doing a sign inventory a couple times a year, just to make sure that all the signs are seen and branches.
Well, we always drive around and see if there's any branches in front of them, but
Yeah, just intentionally making sure that everything is visible and
I'll make
everything
sure
is
they're all there, put it on
Yeah.
my list that I went over on my sign list.
perfect. And thank you for changing the flags, because it was very nice to see the daisies with the snow falling. We may need to time that a little bit better. And then the next 60 days?
I like to didn't save something, because I got some different stuff on this and still the old one, so nothing didn't save it after I refactored it, but I wrote down that, we got 2 of the tower signs up, the other 2 we still have to deal with, because we have to make that sign taller,
Okay,
so we'll get them done hopefully this week.
great.
The other 2 things that are in.
And the 2 smaller signs, one of you put on the firehouse and
We've got 4 smaller signs.
4 smaller signs.
We have put them, one by the firehouse or on it, and maybe one on the pavilion, maybe even on the fence of the basketball court, I don't know.
Okay,
But
yeah,
we're gonna post them down there someplace.
great.
There's 2 other things I wrote on my list, and I can't remember what it was that I wanted to say. Oh, we cut the trees at Timberline Drive, those are all cut down.
Okay, great.
But I can't remember what it
That's
was.
something that we talked about today.
It was,
On the phone with you, Jeanette.
the
The inspector for the lift.
that will be done by the end of the week. The guy that put my lift in inspects it every year. He moved to Florida, that's why he never showed up this year. The insurance guy came and said it's due.
Okay,
So I called Randy and found out who inspects this, and I called the guy that lives in Northville, and he said he'd do it by the end of the week.
terrific.
So that'll be all done.
What was that?
You know, to the garage, we have a lift, the cars up and change oil.
So that gets inspected annually.
Was that garbage truck was on anything? I thought I saw a different truck passing. I wasn't sure if it was us or like wasn't the white truck.
That's like,
Yeah, that's like Pleasant. So I did have a question, and you did answer it, but the LPSA gave us that beautiful sign for the park, and for some reason I thought that sign was taken in the winter or covered over.
the one that's a flower.
Yeah, the one with the flower
We
pots
looked at it in the
underneath.
first year,
Okay,
and it
with that if we're gonna leave it out all year round? Like put a coat of poly on it or something, or?
I'll take a look at it tomorrow.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that we keep that in good standing. I know we restained the frame the year before last.
And we can take it down, it's just, we're going to have to figure out a different way to hang it, because that's only held up there with wood screws, and each time we take them out, put them back in.
Maybe there's another fixture.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a different way we can
I'll
do it.
take a look at it and get a hold of Roger, and we'll make a decision.
Okay, terrific. And we did welcome back Jonathan Smart,
Yes,
and he's
he's worked for a week, about this starts his second week, and he's doing well.
okay.
We're finding him lots of things he can do.
Okay, so he's at 50% capacity,
Yes.
50 to 60%. Okay, for the next, I think it's for the next month.
Yeah, they only went a certain amount.
Right. So with those restrictions, yeah. So make sure we keep up with him and those responsibilities. All right. And
Tree.
Yeah, tree.
That's not our definition.
Oh, this is.
Don't feel bad when you take your work. I call him Tree all the time, and I got ready to do it. You know, I said, what name is it? I really
Yeah. Well, then there's another guy who'll remain nameless that they call Wood, and I'm like tree, wood, rock, stone, river. Yeah. So yeah, I know. Okay. So the CHIPS activities are those pretty much finished for right now? The stock over.
I haven't had internet since the 15th, but I've been bugging
Frontier.
They made 3 appointments. They haven't shown up. Now they say they can't come to the 12th. But I called them today and they said they put a rush on it. But I came over here to check my email, and I had an email from Mormon that said that we're past due on their rental for the paper and stuff, and we never got that. So I emailed her, and she sent us a bill, and that's in.
Yeah, that's included in the abstract. So
that submit the chips as soon as I get paid. We can get it back.
Terrific. And when do we expect the CHIPS payment to come back? They're usually sitting in, right?
The one that I sent in on.
Usually in December.
Okay. All right.
I sent it in early November, so I'm not sure how long it takes.
Okay. And we have our stock culverts, et cetera. Okay.
We're all
Perfect.
set for the winter, hopefully.
Yep. Now on this report, I don't know whether it should have been here. There's a recap of the labor. Excuse me, the labor that goes into our refuse pickup and our recycling.
That's old.
That's old. Okay.
I took that off there. It must be I didn't get saved, but I picked up a new one because this is the old one. That's why all the things are up.
All right. So then maybe we can
save the new one.
maybe we'll take that off for our final thing.
Yeah, because this morning.
So you know what? I will give you this, Roger. These have my notes on it. But if you would just make those, arrows and directions on where it should be corrected, then we'll update.
I look on my computer and hopefully it's on there like in Facebook.
Yeah. So what's on your computer now? I updated with some of the corrections. But if you want to just make those final corrections, that'd be great.
All right, I will do that.
All right. Good.
And that's all I can think of.
Any other comments or questions for Roger? I did have a question on the number of flags that we have for the seasons. So we have 3 sets of flags, 2 sets of flags.
We have spring, fall, and winter.
And winter. And right now, fall is up or winter is up?
We just took the fall ones out, but the winter was
Okay.
up.
All right.
But they're in pretty bad shape.
Okay. So we'll have
I
to.
have to budget for that next year.
Okay. So if you can be sure to put that in your budget.
The 2 center ones, we don't change it. They just say welcome.
Okay.
And we just do 2 and then 2.
Okay. So we only really need 4 flags, but the welcome flags are good.
Yes, they're good.
Okay. All right. Terrific. Anything?
We need to take a look at those. I mean, it seems like every season we've got red flags, like is the material the right
Well,
for
we're just-
environment?
No, that's
really.
those are the strongest ones you can get. Those are the ones that, and they last quite a while. I mean, the ones that I just bought are still in, the spring ones are still in great shape and they're out for months, but the ones at the beach get the worst, of course, because there's more wind there.
Yeah.
And the other 4 usually stay pretty good. It's just, usually those two that get ripped out.
One, I'm sure the white.
Well, we do, we try to rotate them, but every time you put a newer one, bigger than that, it gets red.
Yeah, right.
But they last quite a while. I mean, we haven't bought new banners, other than the ones I bought this spring, probably in 6-8 years. So,
Okay, well, we talked in the spring and now we're talking in the fall, so that's on my radar, right?
well, that's what we said, we needed new spring ones last year, so they told me to order them, and then, when we got the winter and stuff, I said, all right, we have to get the winter for next year.
So if we can take stock and make sure all our banners are up to date, because we will have to think about our celebrating 100 years. So that's coming in 25. So I know that's in 3 years, but a little hype is always good.
Yeah.
Terrific. All right. Thank you. Oh,
I have been having guys go up the tower once a week, so.
terrific.
everything's
Yes.
Good.
So I did ask Roger to make sure that the tower was climbed by someone in DPW just to make sure that all the safety features are still in order, things are working, and that stuff is going. So again, the tower is open from sunrise to sunset. The locks are working. I go down periodically and see if I can break in, and I can't. So that's been good. And I keep seeing people go up. This is terrific.
Yeah.
And I actually looked on the PBS special that they did, and we have over 1.4 thousand hits, which I thought was pretty good in 4 months.
Well, I know in the summer it was used quite a bit, not so much anymore, but there's still once in a while you see people out.
Yeah, which is great. And someone sent me a picture of a little girl eating her lunch there because she really, Maya, wanted to go up and do that. So it's very cute. Good. All right. Thank you, Roger. And again, the tree looks really good. Oh,
Yeah.
all right. One more.
The road on Downey Avenue, is that village or is that town?
Downey Avenue,
Downey Avenue, like if you go past Camp of the Woods.
from the start of Downey Avenue all the way around Old 30, which is, Downey Avenue, that's all village.
Okay, so,
Right spot when you come down the hill with that.
yeah, where that gravel's washed from one side to the other, and then there's a big gully. I didn't notice that got filled recently. I know last week when I went by it was.
Well, we filled some along the edge of the road, and I see up there by the garage, just by the stop sign, there's a pretty big hole in the.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I wrote that down, so hopefully, the guys have a water dig tomorrow, but hopefully we can get that filled either before the dig or Wednesday.
Thanks.
But I did notice that.
And where's the water dig tomorrow?
On Timberline. Okay. They dug there and repaired something, and it's not working right.
Oh, yes.
Or something.
Gotcha.
Right. So they're just gonna dig down and see.
Gotcha.
And does it take a full crew from us and water?
No, probably just the guy running the tractor plow, because there would be.
All the other guys do.
Well, we'll have 2 guys doing recyclables, and we're gonna have maybe 2 down there, being JR not working the plow. So it might be Lee and somebody else down there, so, and Lynn is out with COVID. So we only have 4 guys there, so there'll probably be 2, Lee and maybe 3 down there, and the other 2 will be doing recyclables.
Okay. Good. All right. Thank you, Roger.
And
Oh, there's another?
I just thought of something else that I had on my list, and now I lost it again. As I was talking, but I can't remember.
You know, that just from losing, you never forgot anything.
Now you sound like my wife. I forget everything. She says, you never forget to watch the Jets on Sunday. She always says.
Well, I'll let you think for a little minute, and I'll give you an update on wastewater treatment. So, as some of you may be aware, there's a potential U.S. train strike set for the 9th of December. So, in anticipation of that, the railroads will not be shipping any harmful chemicals or dangerous chemicals by railway. So you might think, well, what does that have to do with us in Speculator? Well, chlorine and chemicals used to treat wastewater treatment plants are shipped via trains. So I have instructed Ed, after talking with Mark, that we should order at least 4, 5, 6 months supply of that on hand. It won't go bad. It will be used. Just to make sure that we're covered. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble with that. So that's being ordered tomorrow and picked up this week. So just a little FYI.
That sounds wise.
Hope so. Did that trigger anything?
I know it's nothing major, it was just something that I wanted to remind you, but I'll give you a call.
You know where I live.
Sorry I was late.
Sure, no worries. No worries, it happens. Thank you.
Yep, have a good night.
Good.
Thank you.
All right, so is there any other old business? I don't think so. So new business, Trustee Cindy Runzie and Trustee Jim Runzie giving us some suggestions on the RV. And we have invited Rick Runzie, if you want to come up, Rick, that's fine, to talk about the RVs. I did want to clarify, though, that for businesses involving RVs, that's separate zoning, and that's already addressed. So this is private RV use on property.
My own personal opinion is that the information we got from the area and everything, that should be looked at and maybe blended with what we've already done. But I haven't been around to do it, so I think I pass on that.
Well, do you want to tell us anything about that?
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
the area, are they laws? Is that what it is?
Yeah, the regulations, laws.
Yeah, it talks about recreational vehicles not in a recreational park. So the property owners may permit a recreational vehicle to be used by guests for a maximum of 14 days, which Jim and I had talked about doing 14 days anyway. And then, consecutive days provided such recreational vehicle may not be used again by the same guests for a period of 7 consecutive days thereafter. So, they can't continually be adding on days. Construction purposes, a recreational vehicle may be used for the duration of the construction period of the primary residential structure, provided that the property owner has an approved building permit from the land use officer, and the recreational vehicle will cease to be used as a residence upon receiving a certificate of occupancy by the land use officer. I did talk to Ed about that because you were concerned about, Rick was concerned about sewer and water, and he said that they would have to go through the steps if they were building, if there was something already in existence, then you would just be using the water and sewer, and they would be paying through their already existing water and sewer. But if not, if it was a new build, that they would have to go through the steps. And generally, he said that I think he said the mortgage can't even be given unless there's a water and sewer and things already hooked up anyway, so that they would have to go through that. And there's nothing temporary. It's just that they would just pay what the normal.
And they'd be able to hook up directly.
Yes. Now, you had a question about that as far as how to hook that up or something, that they need to have something in addition.
Well, I just think that there should be some water and sewer on the property before the trailer is built.
So they wouldn't be able to get a permit unless they had water and sewer and hook up.
A permit for
RV.
Yeah, or have a
Okay,
trailer.
yes.
So that would be a contingency that would be included in having a permit for that.
Right.
And then the other thing that we talked about was how much it would cost to have a permit for if someone was going to use it as a residence for an extended period of time because of construction, how much that permit for use of a trailer would cost, or whether the building permit was enough for that. That's something I'm tossing out to you.
Well, my concern is that, within the village, people have been concerned, and I would be concerned too, if it turns into like a trailer park and, there's a crummy trailer put on someone's property and devalues and, there's no incentive for getting it done, and it'd be cheaper just to have an RV on a site that you have an open permit for that goes for years and years and years, right? Because there are some permits that do go on. So I think that people who do have an RV for construction purposes, I like that idea. But I think there should be a permit associated with that, particularly when we have permits for recreation, as for use for a 2-week period or for an additional 1-week period. I mean, nothing so prohibitive, but as part of that permit, you would have to make sure that they have water on site and sewer on sites, and those would require the hookups. I think they're $100 each for water and sewer for a new hookup. It depends. Okay. So, as part of that, that would be a requirement as part of the RV hookup. And then, Rick, is there a reasonable amount of time? I mean, do we need to say, renewals are based on good faith?
I would say 180 days.
Okay.
6 months, you should be able to complete a building.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we should have a specific renewal date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do like extenuating circumstance? I mean,
Maybe you could say another 90-day possible.
Pending a review.
Reviewed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would have to have proof that there's, some issue or.
you would think though that 90 days would be used up just in the winter time. And
Right.
you would cease and desist from construction for 90 days when the storm, when the winds here.
Not necessarily.
If you plan it right, it's not that big of a deal.
Well, I mean, most people aren't gonna live in a trailer up there in winter.
No, I definitely.
Yeah. So was that one?
Yeah.
That they weren't there for more than 80 days.
I mean, they always have the option of removing it. So it's got to be a temporary. So I think as far as that goes, it still has to be a temporary structure. I mean, there were some structures that Rick had come across or Bob Benkovich had come across where they had, poured a slab. I understand about pouring a slab that you can later convert. Okay, I understand that. But, they had built structures over it and around it and enclosed it that it was no longer mobile.
Right.
I would also add that in. Over the top.
It says on here that, then it ceases to be a residence with a certificate of occupancy. Storage of recreational vehicle may only be stored on property owned by said recreational vehicles owners, provided that there's an existing dwelling unit on the lot.
Right.
And such vehicle is stored either in an enclosed garage or an out of doors, no closer proximity, and no permanent structural addition such as porch shall be added on any recreational vehicle. So you can.
Right.
So there's a couple of other issues. One is, what if it's an area that the sewer and water hasn't run to?
Well, within the village, they would have to have water and sewer.
Not on Coastal.
That's true.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, then when my construction skills are limited, so when would you lay a field for septic?
You should do it right away.
All right, so then,
So they don't have the permit, unless they water as well.
okay, so that,
We don't get a permit for the trailer until that's done.
Exactly.
okay, so that would need to be part of those regulations. So anything, whether it's village sewer or water or septic and well, those would have to be in place before a vehicle could be placed, during a time of construction.
And then, of course, the fee structure, whatever that would be,
Right.
That would be up to the zoning, or would it be up to us?
that'll be up to you.
It'd be up to us, right, to see what those permits were. So there are some towns that have permits for RVs during construction, so we can see what the going rate is or what's recommended for that. I think that would help some homeowners or home builders up here.
Most people today are having someone construct.
Yeah.
But it might give them some leverage to say, hey, you need to get it done by, otherwise I've got to redo,
That's right.
you have to write that cost for me,
wanted the building inspector from Albany to come up. He had a camper there for 4 years while he was building the house.
Right, that's one of the concerns, that it goes on for 4 years. Right, so 6 months off the bat, and then renewable for another 3 months, or 6 months, yeah. So you would, up to 6 months.
Yeah, it'd be obviously a fee for renewal and a fee for the initial.
I would say renewal up to 6 months. 6 months plus renewal up to 6 months.
Correct.
And they don't be concurrent if you have.
Correct.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be concurrent. So if you're building it yourself and you do 6 months, winter comes, you remove the trailer, and then, spring comes, you want to renew it, then you can bring it back for a 6 months.
Necessarily have to remove the trailer.
They just don't live in it.
Because,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you just can't live in it
Yeah.
until you start again. That clock starts again. So Rick, think about what you would have to do, what time you would have to invest in setting up the permit, approving, whatever, checking, because that goes into what we pay for a permit. Because last time I checked, you didn't work for free, nearly free, but you don't work for free. Okay, good. That's a great, entrance and yep. So once we, no, I provided.
I got it online, but I didn't get it right.
Yeah, Chris Rhodes had given it to me, and I forwarded it.
Some of the others were just not.
Didn't fit.
Yeah, this is
Yep.
the, I think
Okay.
actually this is better.
Yep.
But we need to tweak it.
Good. Okay. And I think we addressed the concerns because, Michael, if you had concerns about, the time of the old law and stuff like that, but as Crystal and Rick and I reviewed the zoning, that doesn't apply. There's an exception for commercial, right? Because it's commercial. So he's covered in that regard. And for people who say, well, is it really a concern for not having a hookup to sewer or having a hookup to a septic system? It is. In speaking with Mr. Charpeau, he says that there have been several occasions because we don't have a year-round transfer site, a dumping site that gets closed at Moffitt's or closed at Louis at the end of the season. People have been known to go by a slow road, open up their tanks, and leave the sewage along the roads. Or someone this past year had dumped their tank by our field. I mean, it's just really kind of gross and unsanitary and infuriating, really. So this would certainly prevent that, keep that, health and safety sort of.
Isn't Michael Fiore going to put it in the dump station?
He was talking about it, so hopefully that will.
Really good.
So then that would be something where people could pay, so.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep, that would really be an added value to the community.
Town sewer system?
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's something that he needs to speak with that.
It doesn't matter who's on somebody's paying for it. Doesn't
Right.
matter. So there'd be a fee for him.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So something hopefully in the future. All right, so what we'll do is when you can send me a.
Question would be, you're not putting rates on this until he does the math.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Correct.
One, what if we want to put the rate in the law anyways, so we can change it.
Yeah, we wouldn't put the rate in it.
Don't put it in.
Yeah, we wouldn't put it.
It would be an attachment to the law.
Right.
Like rate five.
Like what does the permit look like? So what sorts of information?
So like our building permit rates, like we still have to change those by resolution, but we don't have to go through the same.
We don't have to change the law.
Yeah, we don't have to change the law.
Right.
So, okay. Yeah, so you don't want that added in there.
Mm-hmm. But we do need it at the time that we present it for public discussion.
Right, you will say that the, fees apply.
Right. And I think that it would be my suggestion, of course, tell me different. I think I would like to see if we can get this finished by the end of December and then present it for public comment in January, just to make sure that there are enough people available and, who can comment on that.
Just a reminder, we're not having the meeting at the end.
We are not having the meeting at the end of December. Right, but this would go to our lawyers. This would go to our lawyers to put it in.
Right, so they would have to present it at the first meeting in January and then have a public hearing.
The end of January.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Sounds good. So we've got a little time to do that. Mm-hmm. Terrific. Thank you.
Thanks for getting that.
Yes, thank you, Chris Rhodes.
For a while.
Okay.
That's why we didn't have it.
Yes, but we have it now.
Yes.
So,
And we like it better than that.
Yep. Good. Yeah, when he was talking about it, I was like, yeah, we need to do that. All right, any other new business? Thank you, Rick. Any other new business? Okay. Board roundtable. Obviously, I have a few things going on. First is the DEC 2023 schedule for state parks that I had provided to you and is available on websites. It was last revised the 10th of November. And what this is that the DEC has gone through and changed the closure dates of the parks. And what's troublesome for us is that there are no campgrounds in the southern Hamilton County that are open past Labor Day according to the schedule. So Moffitt's, Louis Lake, those would all close. The Indian Lake Islands would be open, but basically everything else near us is all shut down. So as you all are well aware, that dramatically impacts our businesses, our economic development. So to that end, I've been on my own mini letter writing campaign to get some wheels turning. I've contacted Assemblyman Smullen. He's already on board with contacting DEC. The normal contacts for DEC do not apply. They don't regulate the closings of the parks. This is done by the Director of Operations for our region, which is a fellow by the name of William Bernard. So I spoke with Bill this morning. He said that the decisions for early closure were based on a lack of available staffing, leading to health and safety issues and concerns, which we can appreciate, but we don't accept. And I asked him what the campsite occupancy was during the month of September. And he said it was about 24% for Moffitt's, 33% for Louis Lake, which means nothing unless you know how many sites there are. So bottom line is there's about 64 sites in both campgrounds that are occupied during the month of September, which is still a lot of people. So that's 120 campsites in the area that would not be occupied for September. So one of their issues is that there is a lack of staffing, but sometimes it's that staffing that doesn't have housing needs. So I will let you know that I've had a meeting with the IDA, Chris Rhodes, Oak Mountain, and talking about workforce housing and what alternatives we can put into place. So DEC would be able to be part of that. And so the premise behind it is that if you're an employer and you need workforce housing for a particular season or whatever, you would be able to subsidize like a tiny house for your employee, and that house would be, or the tiny house would be directly linked to your job. So you lose your job, you change your job, you don't stay in your tiny house, you're out. So they're working on some ideas behind that, and hopefully we'll get a timeline and a proposal to the planning board about that. So DEC is having internal discussions at a regional level in upcoming weeks because they've had a huge response to this, and then at a state level in the next coming weeks as well. He said send letters, send comments, send feedback. to his website, which I have, and through Columbus Day, right? All the others, and we have done through Columbus Day. So I'm just looking at the fellow's Mulligan. Okay. So his email, for those who wish to contact him, it's william.bernard, BERNARD, at dec.ny.gov. So he's the person to contact. So I contacted the Assemblyman, Senator Tedisco. We have a new Senator Volchek who was just elected, so he'll start in January, and we'll be advocating. I did speak with NICOM to see if there was any advocacy we could do. In discussing with the NICOM lawyer, he suggested, and in our discussion, that we wait until what pans out in the next couple of weeks, and then there might be some other activities for us to advocate. I also contacted the Regional Planning Board, Lake Champlain and Lake George, because they help us with economic development and economic grants, which would directly impact what we can and cannot do. I have yet to hear back from them. Spoke with one of the supervisors, who of course sits on the County Board of Supervisors. They are putting together a resolution, taking a position against the early closure. I did ask NICOM what value that would be, if that's something that we should do. They didn't see it as great value, but there'll be other opportunities to advocate for that. And I did post Mr. Bernard's email website on Facebook and responded to some public comments, that's who we need to contact. Okay.
These campgrounds have housing, and if it's going to be closed as of Columbus Day, you're only talking a few cold days.
Yeah.
Why can't they continue with their own state housing?
What do you mean state housing?
The houses that are on the campsites, the state campsites,
right?
Where the rangers stay.
Oh.
They just use those houses.
I don't know. So what he did say is that he'd be reaching out to us for any possible solutions, possible, working together to see what we could come up with to keep those campgrounds open. And I think letting people know that Moffett's and Louis are great places to camp should be foremost in our promotion through the chamber, through Roost, through all those places to add that to our list of things. Because at the fall, I think that one's going to be closed early as well. That's the Sagandaga, right? I think that's the Sagandaga. That's closed September 4th.
But it's closed earlier than that date.
That one's slated to be closed September 4th.
Yeah, well, it was closed before that.
Wow. Yeah. So we need to change that. Okay. Let's see. I did reach out to the New York State Department of Public Service about their winter heat program. They are sending consumer information pamphlets to us, about 40 of them. We will have them here at the office, and then I was going to contact the chamber to see if there can be something placed there, because we know that heat is going to be very costly this year, and we want to make sure that our residents are well aware of that. And then what I think is a sad note is SVAC will no longer be recycling bottles and cans as of December 10th. Notices are being placed by SVAC in the paper to that, and the reason for that is that they can't find a recycling center that will take the bottles and cans. So they were doing it, we being part of SVAC. It was being done through Wells. They can't find enough volunteers to process, so we haven't been. SVAC hasn't received monies for the bottles and cans that they have sent down. They've reached out to Johnstown, about pulling trailers down and stuff like that, and they're not interested. So I have reached out again to Assemblyman Smullen to see if he knows or has contact with another area, because that's a significant revenue stream and certainly does a good service up here, because Charlie John's can't keep up with all of that. You have to put it through the machines, and it's very time consuming, and but if people do that on their own, they can go to the desk and get the slip for the rebates and have it put towards the ambulance corps. Just as an aside. Okay.
Is there any private business that's using the bottles and cans?
No one is taking it. So Hope won't even talk to SVAC. Those little houses that they have for bottles and cans get filled up easily twice a week during the summer months. So it's huge. They used to get anywhere between $8,000 and $10,000 a year just from recycling. And when they take it to the recycling plants, the recycling plant keeps a couple of pennies out of the 5 or 10 cents that they charge. So being the cynic that I am, I wonder, well, they've got a recycling program in New York. Those charges are made on those bottles and cans at time of purchase, and they're not being redeemed. That means New York State keeps the money. So someone should provide for the recycling. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. And the holiday stroll was a big success. Best one yet, they say, with over 500 people estimated in attendance. So it was really great. And Shorty, again, thank you for the nativity scene and playing with the lights and having everybody's heart stop for that holiday moment. It does every time. All right.
There's the other tradition.
They are.
It's just like, no, that's our tradition. After Thanksgiving, we get the car and we get up there.
It's people from all over were there, so it was really terrific. And I had my nephew, in quotes, from Singapore here, and he loved it. He'd never seen anything like that before. Of course, froze his fanny off, but he loved it, so it was good.
After over 30 years, you gotta get it right.
Yes, we do. All right. So, hearing nothing else, no other public comment. All right, Mark.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right. We'll see you next